Greetings and salutations, fine people. I'm Patti Alvarez. Welcome to The Good Soul, a show where we'll have supercharged chats with everyday humans from all walks of life and unpack what in their story will inspire us all. We'll extract the untapped wisdom, distill it, and serve it up to you in all the right ways that will engage, enlighten, and most of all, inspire growth within your soul. I think people are awesome. So join me on this journey through the hearts and minds of ordinary people to uncover the good soul within you. This is The Good Soul. Welcome everybody to The Good Soul. We're on episode 51 and we are keeping it real estate with the beautiful, lovely, and talented Mrs. Erin Ficenec. Welcome, Erin.
Thank you, Patti. I love being here. It's so much fun.
I love having you here. I love talking real estate.
Yes.
I was raised on tires and real estate. Those were my father's two favorite, his passions.
Rubber and real estate.
Yeah. Rubber and real estate. Yeah. Every time I walk into his tire store or shop, my father was not like a boastful big guy or like, but he used to go, smells like money when he smelled the tires. I know. It's so cute. So on our last episode, well, I shouldn't say our last. The last time we met was part one, was back in, I think, September-ish,
yep.
Episode 25. And we were talking about something was pretty big. It was called the NAR settlement.
Yes.
Actually, before we get into the NAR settlement,
sure.
Let's tell, just for those who haven't seen 25, just give us a brief history on you.
Yeah. So my name is Erin Ficenec. I am a luxury real estate broker out of Mooresville, North Carolina. My firm is Ivester Jackson Properties, and we are affiliated with Christie's International Real Estate. So we have a local boutique firm, but then we also stretch nationally and internationally. Across the world, we have affiliates. So
that's really cool.
Yes.
Do they have, we had talked the last time about, they also, obviously, Christie's is known for auctions.
Yes.
So do you have some type of database within the company that you can look at all the different, divisions and services they offer?
Yeah, we're all connected.
Okay.
So, obviously I sell real estate, but then there are brokers that sell art. There are brokers that sell designer sneakers. There are brokers that sell handbags.
Wow.
And last time we talked about the Birkin bag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can connect the dots with brokers of fine art, for example, and connect the dots for our clients so that they can sell their pieces that they don't need anymore.
Sure. Do you collaborate with outfitting the homes and staging? Did they collaborate with you, those parts, or is that more?
Not so much, no. So
okay.
Oftentimes when we use their services, we have sellers that are downsizing, or there's an estate sale where they're selling their parents' house and they don't have any room for the art. So
sure.
they decide to put it up for auction, and we help them find the right people to do that.
Wow. So you've done that.
Personally, no.
But you see it within your office.
Absolutely.
That is so cool. Really, really cool. I know I follow one of my favorite Instagram accounts is a man named Keith McNally. And he started with a restaurant. I mean, I'm sure there were some before this, but his first restaurant was called Odeon.
Okay.
And it was down towards the financial district. And then he opened up in the meatpacking district. Oh, I'm sorry, on Houston, actually Spring Street, Balthazar, which we're actually going to be in the city and having dinner at this weekend. But he's he's hysterical. He had a stroke and he turned it for good. He's just this like really goofy kind of very eccentric man. And he's this restaurateur and he's opening up these boutique restaurants all over the country. And the long and short of it was he just posted on Instagram his art wall in his house. And he said, I've been collecting art for over 40 years and God only knows what he has on there. But that's something I would love to do. But we have this big empty wall in our foyer that I can't decide what I want to do. I want to get like Picasso to come from the dead and paint me a mural. That's what I really want. But anyway.
Well, you have all this interesting history with the fashion world,
yeah.
right?
And
so, I've gotten to come to your house several times and it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
Oh, God, it's not my best work, I feel like.
And I just feel like there's so many neat pieces of your life. And
bric-a-brac.
Yeah. So is that going to be your inspiration, or are you guys going to go?
I like it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely, I think every once in a while I'll find something cute and like Hobby Lobby, but I'm not one to buy home decor, like a picture in Hobby Lobby. Everything pretty much has a story behind it.
Yes.
If I point you at what dynasty or era of my life.
Yes.
So, and it makes a big difference to me.
It's meaningful.
Yeah, that things have meaning.
Yes.
Yeah,
there's
that things have meaning.
There's a story behind all of it.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a place for home goods in Hobby Lobby, like
Absolutely.
your accessories and your plants. And you don't have to go to the nines on spending with everything.
Plants look real.
Yeah.
Those plants look real. Okay, so when what was it, linens and things when we were kids, I remember tearing it up in linens and things. Forget it. I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
But no, I agree with you. And I'm sure, but that probably doesn't work for real estate if you want to sell. They don't want to see a lot of personal stuff when you're staging a house. I'm assuming it's different.
Well, yeah, we, as a listing agent, I come in typically with a designer. And so that way it's not me personally saying, hey, you need to take these family photographs down, because these are very personal items to the seller and they're a big part of their lives. So to have your broker come in and say, you need to take this down, sometimes it can be offensive. So I have a designer come in that I pay for and then she'll say, hey, let's depersonalize the space. I'm going to show you how to do it in a tasteful way. And we're going to really preserve these family photos, but we need to take them down because the buyer needs to see their own photos, their own family, and their own photos.
You just did yourself.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. But so it's you're selling the house, and obviously your home. We talked about your home being a big part of your history, your family, but you want to remove those things when you're selling.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're good, man. Correct?
Yeah.
Bill, we're good, right?
Yeah, good.
All right, good. I'm sorry. Okay, cool. All right, so let's just real quick, tell me where you grew up, about your family, your husband, your kids, so forth.
Yeah, so I was born in Cooperstown, New York, Baseball Hall of Fame. I lived in upstate New York for 5 years of my life. We had 5 acres of land, a big swimming pool. I mean, there were woods all around me. We had a farm across the street. So there would be cows that would come up on the property. And we had a horse come up one time on our front porch, which was crazy to be like a 3-year-old and see a horse on.
Good morning.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was wild. But then we moved to Florida when I was 6. And I lived in South Florida until I was 18. And then I went to UCF in Orlando. Okay,
right by Mickey.
Go Knights.
Aw, I love Disney World. I'm a big fan of Disney World.
I know. You can never be too old for Disney.
No, it's my fave.
No,
it's my favorite. I crave it. I go once a year. Okay, and siblings?
So I have one sibling. I have an older sister named Lori. She's 8 years older than me.
I think she was here with you once, correct?
Yeah, she's come a few times to Good Soul.
I remember meeting her.
She does great. She does Hot 26. She does Pilates. Like, she's all in.
Go Lori.
Yeah,
that's
go
great.
Lori. Exactly.
I love it. Okay, and your parents are still here, and they moved here, correct?
They did. So they lived in South Florida for over 35 years. And I moved to the area in 2003. And, my sister was still near them and raised 3 kids there. So my parents stayed, but then her kids got older. And so about 3 years ago, my parents were like, we're going to move to Troutman. We want to live in Lake Norman. We want to live near you guys. And so
I love it.
I was like, yeah, please.
I know a realtor.
That. Yes, exactly. And I did help them get their house.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, good. Yeah. All right, so all's well that ends well. So we're going to wrap this segment on that. And when we come back on our second segment, we are going to talk NAR settlement and what that meant to you after all that worrying we did. So guys, don't go away. We'll see you in just a few on The Good Soul. This segment of The Good Soul is brought to you by Erin Ficenec, certified luxury home specialist with Ivester Jackson Christie's International Real Estate. Erin serves all levels of the greater Lake Norman region real estate market, and whether buying or selling, she is very much the lady who will deliver like no other. Many of us at Good Soul are also really happy clients. Erin can be reached at 704-728-5657 or reach out to me and I'll get you guys connected. Thank you, Erin Ficenec, and thank you guys for tuning in and supporting The Good Soul. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. I'm Patti Alvarez, and I'm here with the amazing Erin Ficenec of Ivester Jackson Luxury Real Estate.
I think you're pretty amazing, too.
Oh, God, some would argue that one, but Thank you. I'll
Not
take
me,
it.
never.
Aw, thank you, Erin. You're such a sweetheart. So I thought it was interesting what you just said on the break in terms of trends that a lot of people are renovating now versus. Yes. Can you speak a little bit to that before we get into NIR?
Yeah. So we were just kind of talking over the break with Manny, and I was just saying that a lot of people in Charlotte specifically are renovating instead of moving. Mm-hmm. And, interest rates did creep up between COVID and now, and we are at around 7 roughly.
Right.
So sometimes, homeowners decide to do a renovation instead of move. And so renovations are on the rise, and it's taking months to do them. And,
yes.
You could do a renovation for $20,000, and then they're saying some renovations are in the upwards of $200,000 plus.
Like on buying another house,
high-end home. So if you're going to put that into moving, you might want to consider staying a little bit longer and updating your house. And I remember speaking to a local builder in the area, and he was saying, he advises people to do some updating every 5 years, but definitely every 10. Yeah. And, this really helps for resale when you go to sell your house. Mm-hmm. I mean, your kitchen needs to be updated. Your primary bath needs to be updated. I mean, those are the 2 heavy hitters. But overall, mm-hmm. the aesthetic when buyers walk into your house, right now, buyers don't want dated. And their eyes go right to it. And they either walk out and don't want your house, or they're going to give you a really low ball offer. So mm-hmm. I think it's really important to stay current, stay modern, and then you get to enjoy the house and the process. And then whenever you're ready to move, you'll actually get top dollar.
I love that.
As a contractor, I think the same thing.
Yeah. Well, I always think too, to this day, even with my business, like make sure my books are up to date, everything, as you look around, I'm proud of. We change the filters. We do all of that stuff because you never know, like somebody could come along or something can happen in life, and the home is no different.
Well, it's your brand here.
Yeah. You all hear it. Yeah.
And you're at home. It's kind of your brand too. It's what your style is. It's, it speaks to you personally. So.
Yeah. Well, and you also don't want to live amidst clutter.
No.
I mean, it's, do you do any kind of, like, do you ever go into houses and are like, like, what are you got to get rid of all this stuff?
Yes.
You don't have to name names.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's clutter and what do you say? Like, get a storage space and get rid of all this shiza?
Yeah, I mean,
in a smooth way.
Exactly. There's a really couthful way of saying that. But, I always tell people, sellers, when I go into your house, like, your house doesn't need to be clean. It doesn't need to be organized. It doesn't need to be show ready for me right now. I'm giving you a listing presentation. Mm-hmm. But when you choose to hire me, like, I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about ways to mitigate the clutter. And a lot of times it's as easy as getting a storage unit. Mm-hmm. And we have someone here who owns a storage facility. So
yes, that's right. Jacqueline. Absolutely. What's the name of the storage facility? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
That's
we'll
okay.
Ask her.
We'll find out. Yeah.
But I always refer clients to her.
It's right next to Hoke on, I don't
Hoke
know.
Lumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm always like, Jacqueline, I have people that need you. And she's like, send them my way. We'll take care of them.
They're good people too.
Very
her and
good
Chief.
people.
Her and Kevin are really great people.
Yes.
Yeah. Jacqueline. Yeah. They own a storage facility. So, when we sold our house, when Andrew had come in, he sent a girl in, and I was so offended. I mean, she started moving my stuff around and get rid of this, and I was like, oh God.
Yeah, that was something I had to learn over time.
And almost warn people.
Well, I
not
have
personal.
To tell my clients, like, well, first I go alone, and we talk about how I'm going to list the house, market the house. But then, hey, would it be okay if I brought my designer and my stager? Mm-hmm. Is that okay? Well, yeah. What is she going to do? Well, she's going to tell you how to declutter, how to move accessories around. She may buy a few things, and this is going to market your house really well. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's the next unfolding of the onion, peeling away. But then she gets in there, right? And so it's very different when the designer's like, hey, this piece is too big for this space. We need to take the couch away, or we need to move the couch, or we needed to take this artwork down. It's dated. Mm-hmm. I had a listing that the dining room set was the first thing you see when you walk through the door, and it was from 1980s, and it was a $1 million plus house.
Yeah.
So you have to say very politely, hey, let's get some pieces in here. Let's put your favorite heirloom furniture in storage. It's beautiful. Right. But we need to modernize this space because the buyers coming in today, are looking for their stamp, right? And so if we have furniture that's 30, 40 years old, it's harder to see. And so that's kind of how I try to describe it. But people do get offended, right? Because it's very personal. They
that was
love
my
that
mom's.
dining room.
Yeah. My
It was
kids,
like their wedding gift,
that scratches from my kids doing pottery on that table. Yeah, but nobody really cares. Our buyer who bought our house, ironically, had the exact same dining room set as us.
It was a sign.
Yeah, it was a sign. And it's a funny story about Manny and his ex-wife. And at one point, she, I think, wanted to take the dining room set. Okay. Yeah, all right. No, it's a funny story. I mean, I'm not going to tell them. But no, it's not. I mean, all's well that ended well.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, all's well that ended well. But I was like, there's a reason why that set ended up staying there, which I think is really funny. I like that story. Well, I like the story about your Constitution. He was handicapped and he hobbled out and he sat on the chair. And he's like, he wheelchaired it out. And he's like, I heard, her brother who, again, we love her. We love her family. But I guess, when divorce happens. Yeah, at the time, it's funny. We can all laugh about it now. But the brother comes in all big and muscly. Now. Yeah, right? Anyway.
But at the time.
There's a reason why it's still in our house. Okay, so there was a question that I had for you, and it's going to hit me. It'll come back to me, but it was related to
we were talking
decorating.
About people getting offended sometimes.
People getting offended, but before that, it was. Okay. So in terms of trends, what would determine whether or not somebody wants to sell their house or go out and buy another house? Economics, you think? And how are the market trends affecting people making those decisions?
Yeah, so they always say in real estate, life events cause people to need to sell and or buy property. So we just talked about divorce.
Yeah.
That's one of them. They're having another child. They don't have enough bedrooms in their house. They're empty nesters and they have too many bedrooms.
Right.
They're retiring or their kids have kids and they want to go move and be near their family.
Okay. Yeah.
And sometimes finances,
Yeah, sure.
For better or for worse.
Yeah.
So homes, mother moving in.
Yes.
I thought it was something interesting too, like when we built our house that, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to have a 6-bedroom house when we finish our downstairs. And it's essentially just the two of us. I mean, Molly and Squeaky are with us now, but she's going off to med school in Portland.
Yes.
But we still have 6 bedrooms, but we live in a resort style neighborhood, so we have a lot of people. So we technically could live. Yeah, technically we could live in a 1-room, maybe 2-bedroom apartment, or 2-bedroom dwelling. But it's great to have the extra space.
Nice to have that space, though.
Yeah.
Because we can shut it right off. It's upstairs where our ranch is. It's a ranch.
It's an upstairs and a downstairs. Yeah.
It's a ranch. Walk right in, nice and smooth, no step.
And the downstairs is going to be a whole separate dwelling, which will be really cool. So whenever people around my age say they want to downsize, I say, wait a minute. We built that house for our grandchildren.
Yes.
I mean.
Well, and you built it really well because it is essentially a ranch, but then you have the basement, right?
Yeah.
And so then you've got this whole other living. It's a whole other house down there.
Me being handicapped, so I could, being ranch. That's the
only we designed it so there's no stoops, like even into the shower. It's going to be all flat. But he's going to be fine, and he's going to be walking around.
That house for forever.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect. Oh, we love it. I love it. I mean.
Yeah, we're very happy in our house.
I got to do a bunch of steps. So I look at the window.
Okay. Remember, you don't have a microphone, so people can't hear you. Anyway, so let's talk about this NAR settlement.
Yeah.
Give me some, why don't you give us a history, and that'll probably take us to the end of this segment, and then we'll talk about.
Yeah, so just a quick recap. Sellers were upset originally a couple years ago. Why do I have to pay a buyer agent commission? The buyer agent isn't working for me. I only want to pay the listing agent. Why don't the buyers pay their own agent? Why do I have to pay 6%? Why can't I pay 3%? Those are kind of the standard rates. Now, the rates are negotiable, so I'm not saying that's what rates are because they're always negotiable.
But at the time, it seemed like it was like a 5%-ish usually?
Yeah.
2.5%.
You would always negotiate with the listing agent. And the listing agent would negotiate their firm's fees, and then they would also negotiate what they felt was fair for the buyer agent to get. And so collectively, the seller paid all of it. The sellers said, I don't want to do that anymore. I only want to pay my listing agent. I don't want to pay the buyer agent, or I want it to be optional.
Can I just ask you, though, when you say the seller, that represents millions, billions of people.
Yes.
Is there a organization? Who are you saying when you say the seller? Who are you referring to?
Well, just sellers in general. But
just like the trends.
The sellers felt that certain firms out there, bigger firms, they felt that their listing agent was forcing them to pay a certain amount of commission.
Okay.
And legally, you're not allowed to do that.
Okay.
And they really felt pressure from their listing agent. They felt like they had to do a certain percentage for both sides. And they felt that there was some collusion amongst real estate agents, that they were all getting together and saying, hey, we're all going to tell sellers to charge X.
How do you feel about it? 30 seconds, we have to go.
About what their thoughts
about
are?
About the whole
general?
the beef that the buyers were having, or the sellers. I
mean,
say.
As a realtor, you take an oath to do things the right way, and so obviously, the conversation that you have with your seller as a realtor, as a real estate agent, is, hey, if you pay the total amount of commission, these are the services that you're going to receive.
Okay, we're going to hit pause really quick. We're going to remember that, and guys, don't go away, because we're going to pick up exactly where we left off on The Good Soul, episode 51. Hey there, busy women in your 30s, 40s, and 50s. This is for you. If you've been struggling with fatigue, stubborn weight gain, restless nights, or gut issues that just won't quit, it's time to stop guessing and start healing. Kimberly is an integrative health practitioner and helps women uncover the root causes of their health challenges so they can feel energized, balanced, and truly alive again. Let's get to the bottom of what's holding you back. Book your free health strategy call today at KimberlyFlebby.com, because you deserve to feel amazing every day. Welcome back, everybody, to The Good Soul. I'm Patti Alvarez, and I'm here with the amazing Erin Ficenec, and we are talking about the NAR settlement.
Yes.
So before we pick back up, what does NAR stand for?
National Association of Realtors.
Okay, and one more quick time, what is the overall, the summary of the NAR settlement?
Yeah, so right before break, we talked about sellers not wanting to pay buyer agency. Actually, it's not that they didn't want to pay. They just didn't want to be obligated. They wanted it to be optional, whether they chose to pay it or not.
Yeah.
Commissions have always been negotiable, so nothing really changed. You know, as a listing agent, you negotiate for the listing firm and the buying firm, and then the seller agrees what compensation they want to pay, and then you put it in an agreement, and it's done.
Okay.
It's variable.
Yeah.
Nothing is set in stone.
So, and my question before the end of the last segment was, does it make sense to you? Is it fair to you? How do you feel about it?
Yeah. Like, well, today in the Lake Norman market, which, that's my expertise, how did we go into the new rules? The new rules were that you couldn't post what the commission was on the MLS. And so now as a buyer agent, you have to call the listing agent before you show the property and say, is the seller paying commission? If so, what is it?
Tell me why? That's part of the law?
That is the new law. We are not allowed to post commissions
How come?
on the MLS.
Like, why?
Well, the Department of Justice felt that if the commissions were posted on the MLS, that maybe the buyer agent wouldn't show a property if the commission was lower than the average. And so they felt that it wasn't fair.
Okay.
To the lower, but
that makes perfect sense.
To consumers.
Yeah, so it keeps the playing field even.
Absolutely. But so what we do now is we call the listing agent and we get the information that way.
Okay.
It's just not,
and they tell you,
not advertised.
They just tell you.
Yeah.
Have you been shocked by any of the answers you've gotten so far?
So typically, if sellers are smart, they're paying buyer agency. Because what we're seeing is if they don't, and on rare occasion they have not. Primarily, I see
that was my next question.
Still paying it, and for good reason. Because what's happening is the buyer agent goes back to their client and says, hey, they're not going to pay it. So I need to be paid for my services. So, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, you're going to now need to pay my commission.
Okay.
And my firm has a policy that they want X amount of commission. and firms have different rules that they'll allow you to accept as a minimum.
Okay.
And so then the buyer has to say, well, I don't want to pay your commission, so I'm just going to go to a different property where the seller is paying your commission. And so a lot of times those listings inadvertently are still not getting shown because you have to have a conversation as a buyer agent. Who's going to pay me for my time and my work?
Yeah.
And if the seller doesn't want to do it, then the buyer has to do it, or then the buyer has to go in unrepresented.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yes, somebody's going to do the work.
Well, my father had an old saying, nothing is free.
Absolutely.
Right? Nothing is free. And I'm in the yoga business. And this is, I always say, it's almost like operates like a nonprofit. I have an alternate means of income. It's the business. Obviously, we pay our bills, but a lot of people walk in and they expect yoga to be free.
Yeah.
And it's not just newbies. It's people sometimes. I'm bringing my friend. I'm bringing my uncle. I'm bringing,
costs.
Like I hate to say it, but you have to pay. Yeah. And another big one, and again, it works in some business models, but is that first class free. And it's just not what we do here. And it was the first lesson I got from my business coach who had said that's the kiss of death in any fitness routine, any fitness business model, because especially hot yoga, it's hard.
Yeah.
They're going to come in, they're going to try their first class, and they're going to be like, So my point is, it's something that, I've learned to eloquently kind of navigate my way through every conversation. We have so many great new student deals. I would never walk into Epic Chop House and ask for my first steak for free, right?
No, absolutely not.
But like you do, though, smooth. Like she was.
Yeah, I love that. I almost enjoy navigating the conversation because I want people to understand that there's value in what we're selling. And typically what happens, it's like a spoiled child. If we don't work for the things that we attain, we don't appreciate them.
No appreciation.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the thing with you, just me personally, I think you're a great friend.
Thank you.
You're really easy to talk to, and you're warm, and you're welcoming.
Thanks.
But at the
agree, baby?
end of the day,
oh, my husband agrees.
Big ups over here.
But it's a business, right? So our friendship and your business, although we have a friendship within your business, you're still running your business.
Yeah.
And
thanks.
I have to respect that boundary of that's the way that you have your livelihood.
Yeah.
Right? So we can be the bestest friends in the world, but you don't work for free.
Yeah.
Nor should I ever ask you to work for free.
Oh, well, thank you. I had I remember in the beginning when I bought the business, and I don't want to get too far into this, we're already halfway through the segment, but when I bought the business and I just was giving out rentals, and my accountant was like, let's just go back onto Amy's accounting from, 2017 or 2016 and see. And it was like this astronomical number. And he's like, will you please start charging people for mat and towel rentals? And then one of the teachers here pushed back. She's like, that's why people love you, because you're kind. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to take that $2 out of your class every time you teach, and we're going to see how kind you
Right.
And people don't mind. Like, that's the thing. Like, people don't mind. It's my pleasure to pay, the realtor commission.
Yes. Yeah. And, I think a lot of people think that realtors just show houses.
Yeah.
And, Mike, my husband, is here.
He's a pediatrician, yes.
Pediatrician.
Mikey in the corner.
Yes. Yeah. You can't see him, but he's there.
He's there.
He'll tell you firsthand, what is it like to be married to a real estate agent?
Oh, tell us.
It's like we work almost 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
The phone is ringing constantly. I'm always putting out a fire. I'm doing paperwork.
I was in Jersey. I was real estate.
Yeah.
Well, and also we
24/7.
Erin, we experienced it with you.
Yes,
we experienced it with you. We had some
we had some
bumps.
blood, sweat, and tears along the way because that's every real estate transaction. And Patti would always be like, "Erin, I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Why are you apologizing? This is why you hired me."
Yeah.
We're there to solve problems. That's what we get paid for. And I want to help you solve your problems.
Yeah.
It brings me great joy to do that. So no apologies needed ever. But
in other words, you deserve and I'm going to say this on your behalf, is that these realtors deserve their commission.
We've earned it.
Yeah.
There's so much that I do on a daily basis that I don't get paid for.
No one sees.
Nobody sees unless you're my husband, because he's walking the path with me.
Yeah.
And he's having to do a lot of things on the back end. Like if I'm doing a deal at 9:00 at night, he's in the background doing dishes, you know, cleaning cat boxes, whatever we need to do to get the house shut down. He's having to do because I'm working. Like during COVID, it would be 12:30 at night. I'm negotiating a deal at 12:30 at night.
Yeah.
And then at 7 a.m., I'm driving to an airport to get a due diligence check so that we can get it to the seller.
Yeah.
Because 10 other buyers were wanting this property too. And come hell or high water, we fought like hell and we got it.
We're going to get it.
Yep.
Well, it reminds me, I don't know if it's Jordan Peterson, but it's one of his laws, but is you don't watch the clock. Like that's one thing. As soon as if I ever have to do business with or have somebody work for me who's like looking at every little thing and you're $1 off, not that you should be, but or any of that stuff, and they're more worried about the dollars and cents they are than what you're saying.
Yeah.
I would say it's not going to work. It's not going to work. No.
Well, because the passion in any career comes with that you have the desire and drive to do it and to do it well.
Yeah.
And the rest of it comes just as part of the process.
And also to me, as I say, my husband hears me say this all the time, and he is a witness to it every morning at 5:45 when my alarm goes off 4 times.
You get up early.
Yeah, that
so early.
I spring out of bed.
I love that.
I mean, there's no
I never saw anything like it.
Well, there's not a part of running this business, and I'm sure you agree, at midnight or 7 a.m. at the airport. There's not a part of this business that I'm not so grateful. If a student walks in late, if this happens, if that, I'm sorry, Patti. I'm like, you're here.
You made it.
You're a gift. Every single person that walks through that door, every problem you have, I have when running our businesses, those are gifts.
Yes.
I mean, that's a natural part of the whole kind of, food chain.
Well, I think that's a gift that you have too, which I think we all really appreciate when we come to the studio, because when you go into the hot room and you're walking in, sometimes you're tired, you're stressed, you got in a fight with your spouse or your kiddo or whatever, and you walk into that room and you go do the workout and you lie down and you do Savasana at the end of the workout, all these emotions flood. Mm-hmm. And there have been times where I've cried on the floor.
Oh, lots of tears.
It's just
lots of tears.
Therapeutic.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you walk out of there and you feel so good.
I know. It's a purge. I know you're not going to believe me when I say this, but it's time.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We're up. So segment 3, it's a wrap. We'll see you guys for segment 4. Don't go away in the good soul. Who isn't looking to get happy and healthy and empower themselves in an extraordinary fitness community? At Good Soul Hot Yoga, we offer life-changing yoga, strength training, cycling, and relaxing therapeutic classes that will make everything in your life feel better. For some power, balance, and peace of mind, we will deliver. Come experience our spa-like wonderland in the center of Mooresville. We will become your happy place. Hey guys, welcome back to The Good Soul. We are on episode 51. I still can't believe we're on episode 51. How time flies. This episode is titled Keepin Real Estate Part 2. And I'm sitting here just having a really good chat with my friend Erin, who is a luxury home specialist. But I have to say, though, that you'll service anybody. You're not just looking to sell a $5 million house.
No, gosh. Yeah. That to me is the biggest misnomer about what I do, because people will come to me and say, well, you sell luxury, so maybe you don't want to sell my house, or you maybe don't want to work with me to buy. And my marketing, my branding is that I can sell luxury, but I can work with clients that are, selling beginner,
a startup home,
startup properties all the way up to the top.
Sure.
I mean, that gives me a wide range, but it doesn't mean that I just sell one thing. I help everybody.
Okay. Real quick, NAR settlement. Tell me now, what were the effects after all that?
Yeah, so we were all kind of freaked out, like what is this going to mean for real estate? Well, in Lake Norman, what we've seen is that sellers on a whole are still paying buyer agency.
Okay. Nobody's asking questions. Are you all kind of taking care of one another when you write your contracts?
Well, yeah. There's a couple factors going on in the market, in my local market, which is inventory picked up. There's a lot more than there was 6 months ago.
Okay.
That is causing prices to correct. We saw even into the beginning of last year, up, prices kept going. and there wasn't a whole lot for me to sell.
How hard was that? Because with the interest rates going up, that must have been really challenging for you.
Yeah, but buyers still did it. And that's the thing. It's like, what's your new norm? I mean, we're not in COVID times anymore. It's not going to be 4% or 3%. The new norm is going to be 7 or hovering a little below or above for the foreseeable future.
Okay. But we're also in a really hot market in the Charlotte area.
I mean, this market, we have so many people moving here from out of state.
Yeah.
Mooresville, where we are, is the #1 city in the entire country for our population growth. Everyone wants to
Are you
live in
serious?
Mooresville. Yes.
Wow.
#1
I had no idea.
Last year we were up there, and
yes.
Yeah, I had no idea.
#1.
Where where do you get that from a real estate publication, or did you hear that on the news?
So Zillow a lot of times will put out those statistics.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't know if it
I don't want to put you on the spot.
It's a national article that talked about Mooresville, which I thought was so cool because we're on the map.
Well, not if you go on the Mooresville Moms Facebook page. Anybody who's like, I'm thinking of moving to Mooresville, like 800 women are like, don't move here. It's too crowded already.
I know. But you know what? We want people to come here.
It's a great place.
It's a great place to live.
It's an amazing place.
So just to kind of get back to it. So, supply went up, prices inevitably have to go down. It's supply and demand. It's Econ 101, right? So we did see some price stabilization. So what does that mean for buyers? Well, buyers are getting a better deal on the house. The buyer agent is also able to negotiate their commission directly with the seller. And the way that they do that is before we as buyer's agents submit contracts, we have to have a seller sign what's called a 220. That's a compensation form for agents. Okay. So the buyer agent says, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to present you with an offer, but I need to know that you're going to compensate me. So what is my compensation? And then the seller will say, I'm going to compensate X.
Okay.
And the buyer agent, and I'm on the listing side more right now than the buy side, so I can speak to this.
That's really awesome, Erin.
It's pretty awesome.
That's really awesome.
So the buyer agents are coming to me and going, oh yeah, well, if your seller is going to pay this, my firm actually requires this. So can you go back and can you ask your seller if they're willing to work with me? And all of those negotiations have to be done before the offer is sent to the seller. Because if it's not, then the seller isn't required to pay the buyer agent. So the buyer agent is using it as a negotiation tool because they're going to submit an offer and, there's a lot more competition out there. So sellers it's beneficial for them to want to work with the buyer agent because they're bringing them a ready, willing, and able buyer.
Sure.
And if you don't want to pay that agent, then the house down the street may, and then you could lose a deal. So it's really important to still pay buyer agency for a number of reasons, but just strategically as a seller.
And that was, again,
invaluable.
2020 or 220, did you say?
It's called a 220.
220.
It's inconsequential, really. But in real estate, we have all these forms that we have to remember.
Is that done when the offer is submitted? I didn't miss that one over my head.
Yeah, so the buyer agent actually has the seller sign it before the offer is
submitted.
The
offer goes in.
Yeah, it all has to be agreed upon how the buyer agent is going to get paid.
Okay.
If the seller goes back and says, no, I'm not going to pay you, which I don't ever really see happen, but it does on occasion, then, the buyer agent has to go back and say, hey, buyer, I need you to compensate me. And they have. Like, I've been compensated before on the buy side. I had a buyer buy a for sale by owner, and that seller was not paying commission. This was back in 2021 before all of this happened.
Yeah.
And my buyers paid me because they knew and understood the value of having an agent.
Yeah.
So it does
happen to that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So on that note, how do I frame this question? What do we look for when we're looking for a good agent? Let's start, I guess either buying or selling. I guess it's kind of one and the same.
Well, if you're straddling both buy side and sell side, first and foremost, you want an agent that knows the local market like the back of their hand. It's always interesting to me. I live in the farms in Mooresville, and I was the top listing agent in the farms in 2024, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. But sometimes I'll see listing agents that they live an hour away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can you sell in my neighborhood when you don't live here?
Yeah.
You don't live on the Brawley Peninsula. But people don't realize that matters.
Yeah.
Because
you know the places. You know.
I live there.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know it. I know what's selling. I'm doing a lot of the volume in there. I mean, you need to hire someone that knows the market.
Sure. Do you know Beth Preston?
Yes.
So she lives in Morrison Plantation, and I feel like she's like the you of Morrison Plantation.
Yeah.
Our kids went to high school together, and she's
you
always...
gotta know your market.
Yeah.
You know, and that's really, I mean, I sell everywhere, but I really specialize in the Brawley Peninsula because I live here, right?
Yeah.
Another thing you look for is full-time. You want a full-time broker. Because if you've hired someone that's got a day job, and they just do this to help their friends on the side.
Yeah.
They don't know the market.
The dedication is not totally 100% there.
The dedication's not there. You have to know the market because you're either going to overpay or underpay.
Yeah.
I mean, that price is the number one issue. Then, there's... Yes. And so if you're way off, you're not going to get the contract.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or you've told them to overpay and then they've left money on the table and now they're going to be mad at you because they've overpaid, right?
Sure. Do you find it's easy to cultivate your relationships with other realtors? It doesn't seem like a very, like y'all, I see you talking to other realtors in the hallway at the studio.
I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah.
But every realtor that I know, to me, is a friend because we
and a colleague.
And a colleague, and we have things in common that other people just don't know. And so I don't view them as my competition. I view them as a colleague, as almost a friend, because it's like we're all in it together. And whether I'm on the buy side or the sell side, I'm working with the other agent as a partnership. Obviously
might as well be good then.
It better be good, right? Because everybody wants to get to the closing table. And so if I am adversarial to the other side, what good does that do for anybody? You know, just
well, how can you conduct your life as a whole if you're living your life like that, where everybody is the enemy?
Now, I will say though, I know when my clients are right, and I know when it's time to throw down, and I'll argue.
I know that about you.
For my people.
Scare me.
Yeah.
I'm scared now.
Yeah.
So don't confuse that because I don't have to pull that out unless I need it.
Yeah.
But boy, I'll fight, man.
Yeah.
I guess if you're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah, and you'll stand up for what's right.
I'm going to stand up. You better believe it because that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Now, I will do that and then still work with you to get
course.
to the other side because ultimately that's what we've all been hired to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a really important job that you have. And I talked to our builder when we were building our house in the beginning.
Yes.
Is people are going through all of their life events in their homes, their births and deaths and weddings and graduations and christenings, and it really is an important job that you're doing. It is special.
Yeah.
I remember when I had the clothing store and we had all kinds of gag gifts, and I always remember I'd look at my dad on Christmas morning and I'd say, think of all the people who are opening all the gifts that I selected for the store, all the joy that we get to spread. And think of all the families right now that are living in the homes that you put them in, which I think is really fantastic. All right, I haven't asked anybody this question yet, but I want to ask every guest this.
Okay.
Define what a good soul is for me, please.
Wow. This is deep. So again, I can only speak for myself, but I think it's about living your truest, most authentic self and allowing yourself grace when you fall and learning from the fall and getting up and being stronger and continuing to move forward. And I feel like obviously you do that for yourself, but you do it for the people around you because you never know who's going to learn or pick up on something just by observing you, right? And it's the energy that you put out in the world is your gift to the world. And so I don't think people realize their impact, even when they don't say anything at all. It's the vibe, it's the energy. Sandy talked about this today in Pilates, your mindset, positivity. Like people aren't just lucky. They have this energy and they wake up in the morning with a positive thought about how to start their day, and it transcends into their day, but their conversations and their relationships.
It's contagious.
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
Contagious. Okay.
I mean, that's just a little
That's
snippet
a Cliff Notes. I put you on the spot. And really quickly, we have like negative time right now, but where can people find you? Website, cell phone?
So my website is erinselslkn.com. So it's ERIN and then cells, LKN.com.
Okay. And I'll put your number in the comments. And also, Erin is our first show sponsor. So also between, I think it's the first and second segment, you can see Erin's ad. So guys, thank you for being here. Erin, I love you so much. You're the greatest.
I love you.
Episode 51.
Have me anytime. This is such a fun.
I know. It's fun
like
to chit-chat.
The highlight of my day. Thank you so very much.
All right. Thank you, Erin. Guys, we'll see you next time on The Good Soul. Thanks for being here. Peace.